The relationship between Turkey and Israel has long been complex, a mix of strategic cooperation and deep political disagreement. Recently, however, tensions have escalated dramatically, primarily over the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Turkey's president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has become one of the most vocal critics of Israel's military operations. He views the actions as a humanitarian catastrophe and has repeatedly condemned them on the world stage. This strong stance reflects a deep-seated ideological position and a desire to position Turkey as a leader and protector within the Muslim world, creating a significant diplomatic chasm between the two former allies. This is not just a war of words. The diplomatic fallout has been severe. Where there was once military intelligence sharing and bustling tourism, there is now a frosty silence. Ambassadors have been recalled, and official communications have been reduced to public accusations. So, what exactly are sanctions? Think of them as a form of economic penalty. Instead of military force, a country uses economic power to pressure another. By restricting or stopping trade, Turkey has declared a halt to all exports and imports to and from Israel. This means Turkish companies can no longer sell goods like steel, cement, textiles, and Israeli companies cannot sell advanced technology, agricultural goods. It's a powerful, non-violent tool meant to inflict economic pain and force political change. Turkey says it wants to compel Israel to allow continuous humanitarian aid into Gaza and to cease military operations. From Ankara's view, this is a moral imperative. Erdogan frames it as a stand against injustice, using Turkey's economic leverage to support the Palestinian people. The sanctions aren't just punitive. They're a lever for a humanitarian outcome. Turkey's importance in world trade goes far beyond its direct relationship with Israel. Its unique geography makes it a critical land and sea bridge Europe, Asia, the Middle East. Major shipping lanes pass through Turkish-controlled waters Bosphorus, Dardanelles, which are the only maritime passage between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean. Any disruption in this region can have a cascading effect on global supply chains. While the sanctions are currently bilateral, they signal a willingness by Turkey to use its strategic position to enforce its political will, making global logistics planners very nervous. Imagine a major highway that connects three large cities. If the owner closes exits or adds complicated rules, traffic for everyone is affected, not just the targeted driver. Turkey is the owner of a critical global trade highway. This central role means significant global implications. The immediate impact of Turkey's sanctions is on the two countries involved, but the secondary effects or ripples could spread across the globe. Think of the global economy as a complex web. Tugging on one string, even a seemingly small one, can cause vibrations across the entire structure. Countries that trade with both Turkey and Israel are now caught in the middle. For example, a European company might manufacture a product using raw materials from Turkey and then sell the finished item to Israel. This entire supply chain is now broken. The Israeli construction sector heavily relies on Turkish steel, Turkish cement. Without these materials, building projects could grind to a halt, driving up costs for housing and infrastructure. Turkish exporters built around the Israeli market are now without their primary customer, facing significant financial losses. Sanctions aimed at governments have far-reaching consequences for ordinary citizens and businesses on both sides. Goods from Russia and Ukraine grain oil. Products from Europe heading to the Middle East often transit through Turkish ports. This central role means that any instability or aggressive policy action from Ankara can create bottlenecks that affect countries thousands of miles away. The sanctions against Israel create a precedent. If Turkey is willing to halt trade with one nation, what's to stop it from interfering with transit cargo destined for that nation in the future? For instance, a ship from Germany carrying car parts for Israel might normally dock at a Turkish port for refueling or to transfer its cargo. Under the current climate, that ship might be denied service or face significant delays. This forces shipping companies to find alternative routes, which are almost always longer and more expensive. This uncertainty acts like a new tax on trade, making everyone's calculations more complex and costly. This strategic power gives Turkey immense leverage. It is not just another country, it is a gatekeeper for a significant portion of East-West trade. Its control over key maritime choke points means that its political decisions have outsized geopolitical and economic consequences. The current sanctions are a clear demonstration of this power. Global companies and governments are now watching closely, recalculating the risks of relying on trade routes that pass through or near Turkey. Looking ahead, there are several possible scenarios, each with significant implications for the world. In the best-case scenario, diplomatic efforts could lead to a de-escalation. Mediators, perhaps from the United States or European nations, might broker a compromise where Turkey lifts the sanctions in exchange for tangible changes in the humanitarian situation in Gaza. A more likely and worrying scenario is a prolonged period of sanctions and regional tension. If the embargo continues for months, Turkish economy will suffer, Israeli economy will suffer, but the disruption will also become normalized for global trade. Shipping companies will permanently alter their routes, supply chains will be reconfigured. New trade relationships will form to fill the void. This would result in a less efficient and more expensive global trading system. We could see the emergence of distinct economic blocs, with countries being forced to choose sides, further fracturing a globalized world that was already showing signs of strain. The most dangerous possibility is escalation. The trade dispute could spill over into other areas. For instance, Turkey might begin to interfere with third-party shipping transiting its waters if it suspects the cargo is destined for Israel. Such a move would be a grave breach of international maritime law and could provoke a much wider crisis, potentially involving major naval powers. This would transform a regional economic dispute into a global security standoff, with catastrophic consequences for world trade. The choke points of the Bosphorus could become zones of conflict. The Suez Canal could become zones of conflict, effectively paralyzing a huge portion of global commerce. Ultimately, this situation is a stark reminder of how interconnected our world is and how quickly political disputes can impact the lives of people everywhere. The price of a smartphone in America, the availability of building materials in Europe, the cost of food in Africa, are all linked to the stability of faraway trade routes. The actions taken by Turkey while aimed at Israel have set in motion a chain of events with unpredictable consequences. We are all stakeholders,